you guys are, is that like a train hitting each other? I mean, it seems like it's pretty disruptive.
Well, this is a revolution, and I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future.
This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And we're going to continue to let good cops be cops across this country.
And when you talk to soldiers, you talk to Marines, they get it. They get it. They've seen the standards slide under the previous administration. They watched, in many different ways how it eroded, or quotas were being met, or different aspects boxes had to be checked. Not anymore. The only box that gets checked in this Defense Department is lethality and your ability to do your job.
Folks, so much information's been flowing from President Trump's team. It's amazing. They're not only saving our money, but ensuring that we, the people, know exactly how the enemy has been playing all of us for so long. We have this, the busted illegals, the jab interview from Tucker Carlson, the DOGE interview, and we will close with our children and their love for their future and from our Heavenly Father. Got a lot to get into. Here we go. I wanted to remind you guys that next on April 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have a Liberation Day special. I'm bringing on a guest. We're going to talk about Q, all the things going on Liberation Day, the news, and more. And it's going to be a great time because you'll be able to send your questions in. We're just going to have basically a party together with all of you. And also just a reminder, thank you for going to amweknow.com and sending photos at the contact button. We need a whole bunch more photos. You guys have been sending them in since yesterday's video. We certainly could use a lot more. Here we go.
For you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. The government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey. Do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane. You
technically are a special government employee, and you're supposed to be 130 days. Are you going to continue past that, or do you think that's what you're going to do? Or?
Well, I think we will have accomplished most of the work required to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion within that time frame.
So in that time frame, 130
yes.
days. And the process is a report at some point, at 100 days? Or?
Not really a report. We are cutting the waste and fraud in real time. So every day that passes, our goal is to reduce the waste and fraud by $4 billion a day, every day, 7 days a week. And so far, we are succeeding.
And I'm going to talk to the specifics, but there obviously are DOGE critics who are reading all kinds of stuff. Obviously, lawmakers on the other side of the aisle are attacking you, and they characterize the approach as this: fire, ready, and then aim. And how do you approach that? How do you respond to that?
Well, I do agree that we actually want to be careful in the cuts. So we want to measure twice, if not thrice, and cut once. Actually, that is our approach. They may characterize it as shooting from the hip, but it is anything but that. Which is not to say that we don't make mistakes. If we were to approach this with the standard of making no mistakes at all, that would be like saying someone in baseball's got to bat 1,000. That's impossible. So when we do make mistakes, we correct them quickly, and we move on.
Oh, yes, folks. Isn't it great to have Elon's sitting there front and center with all the DOGE guys, and they're saying, you know what, we're going to have a conversation. We put in the description box below the entire interview in case you guys missed it. I'm not a big fan of Brett Barr, but you know what? It's great to have these guys sitting there talking to the normies, the folks that don't pay attention to any other com boards like Q and others. It's for them. They need to know what's going on. It's a simple establishment of information, hone it into the brains of the people so that they understand what's going on, so that there's no doubt how this has been playing out. Many scams like this, as Elon, I have they terminated the $2 billion Biden EPA grant to the Stacey Abrams-linked NGO. The DOJ, FBI are investigating, and the money has been frozen. It is insane that the Biden admin would give $2 billion to an organization that only previously received $100. Oh, man. You know, I just saw this too from Fox News. Just wanted to throw this in there real quick. Republicans look to abolish TSA in favor of private security at airports. Senator Mike Lee, Utah, is leading the bill alongside Tommy Tuberville. It's about time. I am so sick and tired of TSA and how they run the entire airport. Every time we go through, it takes forever to get through security, and then when they do it, it seems like they don't care. They lollygag around and more. And I've been to airports around this earth, folks, many different airports. Probably my favorite one, the easiest one, is Japan. You go in, you drop your bag, you walk through, that's it. You can keep going. It's quick. There's other places. I was in another airport where you actually walk in, and the crew actually checks your bags at the gate. They actually have the deal where you go through, you put your gate through the scanner, and you don't have to wait in the TSA line where everybody getting on every airplane has to go through the same little place, right? You get to actually go to your gate, and as you go into your waiting room to get on your plane, you actually get your bag scanned right there by somebody who actually takes care of the aircraft. Imagine that. Very simple. Anyway, I digress. Here we go.
You guys are. Is that like a train hitting each other? I mean, it seems like it's pretty disruptive.
Well, this is a revolution, and I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work, and it's going to be a fantastic future. But are we going to get a lot of complaints along the way? Absolutely. You know, one of the things I learned at PayPal was who complains the loudest and with the most amount of fake righteous indignation? The fraudsters. It's a tell.
Oh, it's a tell. Those that scream the loudest. And we had this reminder from News Treason Channel 17, those who scream the loudest. Find the connections. Remember this on the Intel Q board, 1871 post. This is a revolution. I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. Who screams the loudest? The fraudsters. Primary affiliate A, affiliate B, affiliate C, marching to the same beat. Coincidence? Logical thinking. Those who scream the loudest. It's so good. Speaking of screaming the loudest, let's see. Let's play this quick clip.
Are you surprised at some of the legal efforts and some of the judges that have weighed in? There's about 8 or 10 now of these cases that are at least temporary holds. They're being challenged by the DOJ.
Right.
Are you surprised by that pushback?
Well, it's the D.C. Circuit is notorious for having a very far left bias. And when you look at the people close to some of these judges, where are they working? Oh, they're working at these NGOs. Oh, they're the ones getting this money. Does that seem like a system that lacks corruption? It sounds like corruption to me.
Sounds like corruption to me. Oh, the judges might be weaponizing lawfare. It could be linked to the NGOs financially benefiting from the fraud that DOGE is exposing. So good. For the past 3 weeks, Social Security has been executing a major cleanup of their records. According to DOGE, approximately 7 million number holders, all listed age 120 plus, have now been marked as deceased. There's another 5 million to go. Oh my goodness. Oh, what does this all mean for Social Security and DOGE? Well, they had something to say about that in this interview.
The two improvements that we're trying to make to Social Security are helping people that legitimately get benefits, protect them from fraud that they experience every day on a routine basis, and also make the experience better. And I'll give you one example is at Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information. So when you want to change your bank account, you can call Social Security. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters.
40%?
That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day. And then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security. It's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
Oh, that's security system, Social Security. He actually continues on and he says, you know what? There's going to be more money coming actually out to, for the benefits of Social Security. They're going to be receiving more. Yeah, what we're doing will help their benefits, said Elon. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of DOGE, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. Let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true. Oh, my goodness. Oh, this man has been through a lot. Let's see. Juanita Broderick showed this clip for all of us.
I mean, you have been called a Nazi, a white supremacist, a fascist.
I mean, they've got the sort of their
Just to
normal
name
playbook.
a few. Yeah.
I mean, they've still got it. They haven't. I guess they still need to call me Stalin, Mussolini, whatever, Genghis Khan or whatever. I mean, they've called the president all these things. I think at one point there was a magazine cover which said President Trump was worse than Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin combined. And the president hasn't killed anyone. He hasn't started any wars. In fact, he's good at stopping wars. So this is obviously they're pushing these lies. And why do they push these lies? And I think that we need to hold people responsible for pushing these lies, because those lies almost got the president killed.
I mean, you have been.
Oh my goodness! Great common sense conversation. You guys remember? I don't know. I was just thinking about this when they used to interview Kamala prior to the election and Tim Walz prior to the election, and they go in there with all their word salads. What are you going to do about being called a Nazi? Well, when the people say things, it's what they mean to say. But when they don't mean to say them, it actually has no meaning. I just made that up off the top of my head. How about you guys? Give it a shot. Give it a shot. You could run for president. Just play word salad. They actually should have a game called Word Salad Kamala. Oh, my goodness. Hey, at least they get 20% of the nation to buy it, right? All the liberals. Oh, my goodness gracious. Speaking of buying great products, folks, I'm going to show you this. The ribeye special from Chemtrails is absolutely amazing. You get $20 off the ribeye this weekend. The ribeye special from Friday to Sunday at midnight. Here's more from them. Folks, I had the pleasure of meeting with the owner of Chemtrails Beef while on the cruise this summer, and it was absolutely amazing how we connected immediately. He gave me his Trump hat, and they have a love for our country. And their love goes to the beef. I tell you what, it's an experience like you've never had before. Welcome to Chemtrails Beef, where tradition meets your table. The Chemtrails, They're not just raising cattle, they're crafting a legacy. 5 generations of ranching expertise combined with the finest Black Angus cattle in the Texas Panhandle. Their beef is USDA prime and choice, aged to perfection, ensuring a taste that's unparalleled. I'm telling you, from their pasture to your plate, their cattle enjoy a life of luxury, grazing on lush pastures before being grain finished for that perfect balance of flavor. And I tell you what, that's something I learned really about that flavor, how they do it. It's perfection.
Well, it's prime and aged, and that's the basic difference. You don't get much aged beef in America. It comes straight from the slaughter to your plate pretty fast, and they miss a lot of the things that could be tenderness and flavor modifications or improvements is a better word.
But Chemtrails isn't just about the taste, it's about trust. They're a wonderful family. You're not just buying beef, you're joining their family dinner. I tell you, we're going to talk about their subscription box. Every month, they'll deliver a cut of their best right to your door. It's like getting a piece of Texas no matter where you live. And for those who've served our country in many capacities, they're offering up to 20% off because at Chemtrails, they honor those who have given so much. So check out their website below this video, trybeef.com/and we know for their latest offers. That's trybeef.com/and we know. Subscribe today. Let Chemtrails Beef redefine your dinner table today. All right. Q got to be kidding me. The letter Q on the New York Post. That's right, the cover. For all to see. And it's interesting because March 27th is when that was, I believe it was dropped. March 27th of 2019, we were told Q is everywhere. The next day, March 28th, which is today, we are everywhere. Oh, my goodness. And it's reference to those listening. It says, after mugging New Yorkers with congestion tax, MTA says 2nd Avenue extension will cost $4.3 billion a mile. Q got to be kidding me. And there's the letter Q. This is so good. Oh, man. The exposure of the enemy from the Q board has just been phenomenal. And I love exposure when we show what these guys say, the enemy, old Chucky himself. They made a movie. Didn't they make a movie about Chucky? So it kind of matches his personality, old Chucky. Check this out.
He pointed fingers. He blamed the liberal media, moaned about hoaxes. Mr. Hegseth, this is not a hoax. It's very real and very serious. You should not be in your job.
Do you think it should have been handled any differently?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into.
So first he talks about the hoaxers, you should be removed for that Signal app, the problems that you guys have over there. That's what we're latching onto. Everybody cut out all of our abilities to see all the intel that's been coming out. So we figured out how to get into the Signal app with one of our guys. And, even though it's been set up, but we're going to get these guys fired. This is another one we found to take President Trump and his team down. They need to be fired and removed. That's 2025. Let's go back to 2021 when they made their mistake of people actually passing away due to their incompetence in Afghanistan.
Do you think it should have been handled any differently?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into pointing fingers right now. Job one, get the people home.
I'm not going to point fingers. Let's just get the people home. Don't look over here at us. We don't have any problems. Nobody should be removed or fired. The hypocrisy. They're always going to be done and gone. Someday in the future, we'll breathe a sigh of relief. Dan Bongino, he's helping out at the FBI now. Today is March 25th. He said, this was the other day, and I didn't swear in to waste your time or money. If you're committing crimes against children, you should probably expect a knock on your door soon. And it's not for a delivery. It's a bad day to be a bad guy. It's interesting because he posted this with the FBI post, registered sex offender sentenced to 30 years in federal prison for exploitation crime against South Florida minor. Oh, yeah, they're going down. He happened to post this at 5:29 a.m., so it makes Grasshopper believe that he probably might have some connections to get information to we the people, possibly, because 5:29 on the cue board says, be ready. MSM coming, big way. The mainstream media is coming. We see all, we hear all, fight, fight, fight. There's a conspiracy push coming like they always do. The mainstream media lost their control. The Dems lost their slave grip. The Dems lost their center voters. The libs are the minority. Hello, George. By the time we're all done with this, guys, 4 to 6% will be lost forever. They're never going to get it. You know, another thing that President Trump did recently, he suspended the financial contributions to the World Trade Organization. And, you know, he also got took away, I believe, WEF and some others. So we're winning bigly. Oh, it's absolutely amazing the amount of money that we're saving, we the people. So President Trump is out there continuing to support the American First agenda. He said it's essential that we maintain every Republican seat in Congress. We must be unified to accomplish our mission. And Elise Stefanik has been a vital part of our efforts from the very beginning. He said, I've asked Elise, as one of my biggest allies, to remain in Congress to help me deliver historic tax cuts, great jobs, record economic growth, the secure border, energy dominance, peace through strength, and much more, so we can make America great again. With a very tight majority, I don't want to take a chance on anyone else running for Elise's seat. The people love Elise, and with her, we have nothing to worry about come Election Day. There are others that can do a great job at the United Nations. Therefore, Elise will stay in Congress, rejoin the House leadership team, and continue to fight for our amazing American people. Speaker Johnson is thrilled. I look forward to the day when Elise is able to join my administration in the future. She's absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Elise. And he also said Congressman Scott Perry is a tremendous representative for the great people of Pennsylvania's 10th Congressional District, a retired Army Brigadier General. Scott is a MAGA warrior who always puts America first. Scott's working tirelessly with me to secure the border, stop migrant crime, grow our economy, strengthen our military and veterans, uphold the rule of law, protect our always under siege Second Amendment, and restore peace through strength. An original member of my Pennsylvania federal leadership team, Scott Perry has my complete and total endorsement for re-election. He will never let you down. And back to what we talked about yesterday, Lindsey Graham, President Trump's endorsement. Remember, True Stormy Joe just gave us a few reminders, and this is where I was talking about the cue board actually mentioning Lindsey Graham, but I didn't have it in front of me at the time. So True Stormy Joe says you can tell who is well-read on Q and who isn't. Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham. Non-Q people are shocked, people that don't pay attention to the intel board. Q people understand Lindsey has been a scumbag, but since DJT and the Q team took over, Lindsey rolled. We like good singers. See that on Q 1305. No Name is out. Remember No Name? Who that is, for you guys that might be new, that would be McCain, the traitor. Now, we love good singers. Lindsey's a good singer. Lindsey has followed orders and done as he was told. Think about the Kavanaugh hearing as an example. Remember, we played that sample yesterday. If you missed it, go watch the video from yesterday. Even when it seems he's going against Trump, it's part of the show to make DJT seem more centrist and reasonable. Abortion as an example. So, again, Q2583 says, think Graham Kavanaugh exchange. They actually told us, folks. You don't need to like Lindsey to understand the Q team. DJT uses whomever they need to. Patriots are in full control. Understand the above, and it all makes perfect sense. So I'm showing you drop 2291. Showing you, interesting, the line of questions, remember, from Kavanaugh, with everybody going out to see Senator Graham's speech. Interesting that we saw the law, criminal law versus military law. Think about HRC's panic. Remember, making deals with other countries. What does that mean, Kavanaugh? Do you believe in coincidences? Well, enjoy the show because that's exactly what's playing out, a wake-up call for all to see. Another wake-up would be the Las Vegas police arresting the suspect in the Tesla bombing attack. Paul Hyun Kim, 36, was arrested by the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department a week after at least 3 vehicles were set ablaze at a local Tesla collision center. Kim has ties to the Communist Party USA social media group. How about that? As well as groups such as Revolutionary Communist International, Hidden Palestine, Palestine Action, and several others. A search of Kim's home uncovered multiple rifles, a shotgun, a handgun, assorted gun parts, ammunition of various calibers, and other materials. He's been charged with multiple felonies, including 3 counts of third-degree arson, 3 counts of unlawful possession of explosive or incendiary devices, 4 counts of property destruction, 5 counts of discharging a firearm into a vehicle or structure. The suspect remains in custody. Oh, yeah, we're going to have some sound bites from Elon on this in a moment. First, I want to remind you we're at amweknow.com, an amazing website for all to see. I wanted to just highlight that, folks, we have so much in this website packed in for you to enjoy. All of our social media sites are on the top right there: X, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, and more. You'll see a video that basically gives you an intro to who we are and what we're about. You can see that we have all of our videos there for you to watch. The celebration cruise is listed on that site for those that want to join us. July 13th through the 20th, we're going to have a blast hanging out with fellow patriots in Alaska. All of our merch can be found there. If you want to grab that merch, it'd be great. And also, all of our partners are listed below. Now, I'm asking again, if you click that contact button, I'm clicking it now, you'll get to contact us. You can put your name, your email, and if you send a photo, that'd be great. Click send a photo. We have different ways, that you can reach us for different reasons. Send a message and actually choose a file. Click that, choose a file, and attach your photo. We'd love to receive those so we can have them to play on these videos. Also, folks might not like all the Rumble videos. It's a reminder, when you do not hear my voice and there's an advertisement, that means it's from Rumble, and they're placing those ads there. They're not from me. And so if you don't like those, you can go to Clout Hub. It's in our description box below. We have an account there. You can play our videos, and you don't have to worry about that. And also, they come with translation at Cloud Hub. Pretty cool. And don't forget shop.amweknow.com. Always great deals there for everyone. We'd like you to check out our shirts, our hoodies, accessories, our hats, our tees and tanks, and so much more, especially going into the spring, summer season. You gotta want to have these on. Folks are going to walk up to you and say, man, I watched that show too. And you will be absolutely amazed with that new friend. Here's more great pictures of Patriots wearing our gear.
And then when she held a hearing, said, where'd the $12 billion go? They didn't know.
Talking to those guys, and you have a great team from all over the country. You don't have to be here. You don't have to be here. There's now been these many cases of violence and vandalism at Tesla dealerships. How does that affect your employees, your customers? What does it mean to you? How have you taken that in?
Well, I think a great wrong is being done to the people of Tesla and to our customers. Tesla is a peaceful company that has made great cars, great products. That's all it's done. Hasn't harmed anyone. And yet people are committing violence. They're firebombing Tesla dealerships. They're shooting guns into stores. They're threatening people. They're issuing death threats against me and other Tesla personnel. What are they doing this for? Why? And what's happening, it seems to me, is they're being fed propaganda by the far left. And they believe it. It's really unfortunate. But the real problem is not are not the people. It's not like the crazy guy that firebombs a Tesla dealership. It's the people pushing the propaganda that caused that guy to do it. Those are the real villains here, and we're going to go after them. And the president's made it clear we're going to go after them. The ones providing the money, the ones pushing the lies and propaganda, we're going after them.
Push the propaganda. They're coming after you. What do you think they're facing? How about 20 years in prison, maybe?
What's happening with this Las Vegas Tesla criminal who he was arrested and now federal charges have been filed against him? This was something that was needed given everything we're seeing happening to those dealerships and those cars across the country.
That was remarkable police work, working with the state police, our FBI. They have been going nonstop on this case. This guy is in custody. Laura, he is facing 5-year minimum mandatory to 20 years in prison. And this was great police work. This guy thought he got away with it. So these people better look out. They better cut it out because we are coming after you. And at my direction, there will be no negotiating on these people.
No plea
deals. We are seeking 20 years in prison. They are setting off bombs, the huge fires. Look what you're seeing. Huge, massive fires in residential neighborhoods.
Someone's going to get killed.
Charging stations. Someone is going to get killed. A citizen is going to get killed. And these people, we are not doing any plea negotiations on them. So they better cut it out.
We have some information about the groups that he belonged to, this individual. Let's watch.
But a preliminary assessment of the suspect's social media.
Of course, we talked about that. The interesting thing is that these guys think they're going to get by with it. And I was thinking about this. Remember all the J6ers, the folks that did nothing wrong, simply walked in a building, walked out. And at 2 or 3 in the morning, while kids are asleep, the FBI raids their home and treats them as if they're the real criminals. Then you have these guys that are blowing these Tesla places up, causing all types of fires and more. And it makes you wonder, what in the world is going on with our FBI? Well, finally, it's been cleaned up. It's been cleaned up. And how good is it when we read from President Trump on Truth Social, just captured a major leader of MS13. Tom Homan is a superstar. He worked together with many others to ensure that these guys were taken down. We had the FBI, Cash, speaking about this. I'm going to show you this in a second. Here we go.
This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And we're going to continue to let good cops be cops across this country.
342 MS-13 members arrested.
President Trump gave us the executive decision to go after and safeguard our communities. General Bondi is our warrior of justice leading that charge. Governor Youngkin, it's an honor to be a partner in this operation with you and U.S. Attorney Siebert. This is the mandate we have. Right now we have an American dying every 7 minutes from a drug overdose. That is a national security crisis we have not seen ever before. We have a woman or child being raped every 6.5 minutes in this country. We have a homicide twice an hour. No part of that metric is a safe and secure America. But thanks to the brave leadership of this administration and the folks that you see here, we are returning our communities to safety. As you heard, we took down this morning a top leader of MS-13. That is not done easily. That is done with brilliant law enforcement. And right here, I'm proud, and I think the governor knows I'm biased, having graduated from the University of Richmond, to have this here in the state of Virginia, here in our Northern Virginia resident agency, with our partnership with our Washington field office and our special agents, our SOS folks, our intel analysts, and our support staff. My priority has been law enforcement across the country, and that will not change. But law enforcement across the country cannot be done just by Washington, D.C. and the federal government alone. This task force was stood up 1 month ago. In 1 month, the brave men and women on this task force from state, local, and federal authorities have arrested 342 criminals in the state of Virginia alone. We wanted this to be a successful model. It is a successful model because of you, because of your men and women on the streets. We have the easy job in Washington, D.C.
How about that, folks? We continued. You see Pam Bondi as they're excited, standing next to Kash Patel for this MS-13 arrest.
First reaction is all of our law enforcement officers are safe. That was the number one thing. They're safe. They executed a clean, safe operation, and the bad guys in custody. And thanks to the FBI, we got one of the worst of MS13 off the streets this morning.
We were able to be out here in force to show the American people, to be here in person, that this means a lot to her and the mission. Safety is our primary concern of these communities, and we effectuated that today.
So they're not sitting in their homes. They're not on a computer screen watching it. They're there. They're actually at this particular takedown together. The Attorney General, the United States, the FBI Director. That's how you do it, folks. That's real leadership. And of course, Tom Homan, the superstar.
I think it's going to open up a lot of eyes. I think illegal aliens, the most vulnerable, are not going to spend their life savings to hand it to a criminal cartel to come to the United States, knowing we ended catch and release. You're not going to be released in the United States. You're going to be deported immediately. And as the Secretary said, we got a lot of tools in the toolbox. El Salvador prison's one. We got Gitmo. We got other countries. So,
oh, let me get back to this. 1 second.
Who push back on taking their criminal nationals back, we'll send them to another country. We got a lot of tools in this toolbox. Again, President Trump's a game changer. We got illegal immigration on board down 96% because of the policies of the Trump administration, and we got, like I say, record number of criminals. We still got a lot more to do in the interior, but we got the right team put together. This is the greatest team I've seen in my over 40 years serving as a special agent, a border patrol agent. I've never seen a team this serious about making this country safe. We got a great president. He's got a great team. So I wake up every day like a kid in the candy shop, getting ready to go to work. And I know we're making a difference every day.
Every single day. Make it rain. DC Lindstone catches this. President Trump says, great job by Pam Bondi, FBI Director Cash, Tom Homan, and Kristi Noem on the capture of MS-13 leader. A big deal. He posted this at 8:28, our favorite, just like Romans 8:28, for and we know all things work together for good to those who love the Lord, to those who are the called according to his purpose. 8:28 on the Intel board, keyboard says, stay together, be strong, get organized, be heard, fight the censorship. You, the people, have all the power. You simply forgot how to play. Together, you are invincible. They want you divided. They want you silenced. Make noise. We are with you. Make it rain. And just one more note here, in a stunning twist of irony, FEMA camps once built to detain political dissidents and undesirables are now being used to imprison the very agents who plan to run them. White hats have turned 6 FEMA compounds into high-security holding facilities for deep state operatives. Kind of reminds me of the story of Esther in the Word of God, where Haman built the noose and he was going to hang Mordecai, I believe, and they were going to kill an entire race of people because of their hatred. And guess what? The noose that he put up there that he was going to hang them on was actually used for his hanging, for his treason, for what he did, and how he played out something so heinous. And he thought he was going to get by with it. And the tables were flipped. Boy, it's amazing how we're all waking up to things that are happening around us every single day. Kind of reminds me also with the borders. We had this happen the other day. Child trafficking could be part of this. There's a deputy suicides that are leading to important conversations about the need for support. 4 police officers from the same Texas Sheriff's Department have committed suicide in only the last 6 weeks. Many people believe it's because they were on to child trafficking rings run by the elites across the southern border. The chances of this happening, according to most, is 0.001%. All for suicide. So we have to continue to stay in prayer for all those on the front lines, those doing a great job trying to help our country. We definitely need more prayer and more guidance and direction from our Heavenly Father. Here's Mike from Hunter's Blank Coffee.
Well, Samuel Adams not only was a famous brewer, but obviously one of the founders of our country. And turns out he was a visionary. He wrote things well over 200 years ago that were really applicable for today. If ever time should come, he wrote, when vain and aspiring men shall possess the highest seats of government, our country will stand in need of its experienced patriots to prevent its ruin. It is in the interest of tyrants to reduce the people to ignorance and vice, for they, meaning the tyrants, cannot live in any country where virtue and knowledge prevail. The religion and public liberty of a people are intimately connected. Their interests are interwoven. They cannot subsist separately, and therefore they rise and fall together. And for this reason, it's always observable that those who are combined to destroy the people's liberty practice every art to poison their morals. Liberty will not long survive the total extinction of morals. And then in another speech about the Declaration of Independence, he wrote, we've proclaimed to the world our determination to die free men rather than slaves. We've appealed to heaven for the cause of our justice, and in heaven we've placed our trust. And we can look at things going on around us and see that this is pretty much what he wrote about. But the good news is at the end of that speech where he said, we've appealed to heaven for the cause of our justice, and in heaven we've placed our trust. And that appeal to heaven worked for them then, and it's working for us now. Welcome to the Great Awakening.
My coffee has never been better. I get it from Hunter's Blend. For freedom-loving Americans, many coffee importers view the world very differently than you do and would support lobbyists that fight against Second Amendment, hunting, and our God-given freedoms. No matter where you buy your coffee or who roasts it, someone had to import the green coffee beans. Well, Hunter's Blend Coffee is the buyer, importer, and roaster. So from the farmer to your mug, you can feel confident that your morning coffee has been safely in the hands of patriots. They have a Q-grade master, Paul. He's been importing and roasting specialty grade coffee since 2006 through deep relationships with growers in Central America, East Africa, and Southeast Asia. They bring you the finest coffee anywhere. Every lot is roasted in small batches to make sure the coffee you receive is as fresh as possible. One customer said it's tough to find coffee that doesn't have a bitter finish these days. Absolutely no bitterness with Hunter's Blend. They really enjoy both the light and dark roast. Great coffee from a great company. Get yours today, folks. Go in that description box below. Click on that link for Hunter's Blend Coffee and get yours today. We're, folks, getting into our health here. Somebody posted this video clip with some music. Beautiful day for a country drive. Look at that. Not even a chemtrail in sight. So some folks are reporting that they're still happening above them. In the area that I live in, I probably have seen 1 or 2 chemtrail planes in the past month. So we're seeing a huge decrease, kind of strange, right? But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. put this out March 23rd, 2025. 24 states moved to ban geoengineering our climate by dousing our citizens, our waterways, and landscapes with toxins. This is a movement every Make America Health Again needs to support. HHS will do its part. Very interesting as we're moving forward. Many folks are crying out for this to end, and we're certainly hope someday we look in our skies and we see normal clouds for once. It's been so long since most of us have even experienced a nice, clear blue sky and puffy clouds. Check this out.
I know the question that you've been asked throughout your confirmation hearings, of course, was about the public's, I think, justifiable concern with the growth of vaccines. And the senators asked you enough questions about that I don't think you need to rehash a lot of it. But for the people who are asking questions about whether or not they'll vaccinate their kids or whether they should vaccinate their kids, will anything change about vaccine policy?
Yeah, everything's going to change because we're going to have good information. And, none of the vaccines that are given, but people said to me during the hearing, this link between autism and vaccines has been disproven. None of the vaccines that are given during the first 6 months of life have ever been tested for fraud. The only one was the DTP vaccine, and that one study that was done, according to the Institute of Medicine, the National Academy of Sciences, found that there was a link. They threw out that study because it was based upon CDC's surveillance system, VAERS, and they said that system is no good. I think it begs the question is, why doesn't CDC have a functional surveillance system? We're going to make sure they do have a functional surveillance system. Right now, the surveillance system is the system that, because they don't do pre-licensing safety testing for vaccines, they're the only product that's exempt. So what they say is, if there are injuries, we'll capture them afterward. But they have a system that doesn't capture them. In fact, CDC's own study of its own system said it captures fewer than 1% of vaccine injuries. It's worthless. And everybody agrees it's worthless. But why have we gone for 39 years and nobody's fixed it?
Without a functional system, right.
We're going to fix it, and we have, we have DOGE, knows how to manage data. And so we're going to be able to get into these databases and give answers to the American public. And we're going to fix the problems. If there are problems, we're going to fix them very quickly, but we're going to follow the science. That's what we're going to do. We're going to have gold standard science, and we're going to follow the science. We're going to publish all of our data sets, which CDC has never done. We're going to do replication of all of our studies, which CDC has never done. We're going to publish our peer review, which CDC has never done. So people are going to have real answers for the first time.
It's interesting because I saw this from Sudden Unexpected, a study on your screen on the pubmed.ncbi.nlm site from NIH. Here's a study where baby monkeys received vaccines according to the U.S. children's schedule, and the monkeys became autistic. Let's not discuss how they failed to ever successfully complete a study. Baby monkeys that were given vaccines according to the U.S. vaccination schedule had abnormalities in the region of the brain affecting social and emotional development. It's amazing that this stuff was already out there for us to find. We've had enough. Tucker Carlson was on with Dr. Soon Shiong speaking about the increase in cancer in children.
But I never saw pancreatic cancer in children. And the greatest surprise to me was a 13-year-old with metastatic pancreatic cancer that the family called us to help. And to me, that was not only devastating, it emphasized the idea that we're seeing people with higher incidence of pancreatic cancer and younger. Right now in our clinic, we have 45-year-old, 50-year-old. And what was sad about this young boy, by the time he came to see us, he had exhausted all standard of care. And he came from Butler, Pennsylvania. And all the major medical centers really had exhausted all their therapy. And by the time he came to see us, his body was ridden and he passed away. So seeing cancers now in younger people and almost a rise, almost like I don't want to call it a non-infectious pandemic, but this is what I think is going to worrisome in the world, not just in the United States, but largely in the United States. We're beginning to see this, and it's really worrisome.
A non-infectious pandemic of cancer, including deadly cancers.
Correct.
Like pancreatic. In your career, which I think is about 50 years of working on this, how many 13-year-old pancreatic cancer patients have you seen?
Never.
Never.
I inquired around because it bothered me so much now of why this is happening. So Dr. Stephen Day, who was a good friend who was trained with me at UCLA when I was at UCLA, he's now at the Angeles Clinic, and I called him and he said, listen, Patrick, I'm now seeing an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old with colon cancer. Colon cancer. We've never seen that. We're seeing now 30-year-old, 40-year-old ladies, young ladies with ovarian cancer. So this is a real phenomenon of a rise of cancer in early people, in young people, and really need to get to the bottom of that.
How in the world are we finally getting this information? We've been talking about this for years. And Dr. Xiong tells Tucker Carlson there's truly a deep state in the Department of Health.
The government has a monopoly on some of the materials that you need to do this kind of testing in a biolab. Is that correct?
Correct. But now we're into Biden era. So now we're in the Biden era that said, I must stop. This is 2020 now. No, it was during the Biden era. And I think there was this, sadly, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but now I've come to realize it truly was a deep state inside there that had a motivation beyond, it's sad to say, it's the most devastating to say, beyond public health. And I just tweeted recently of how so few people could hurt so many. And that's why when I tweeted about finally we have the right person in HHS with Bobby Kennedy who will take this on, and that we have doctors that will be like Marty McCary, who I don't know, but I do know he's a surgeon who can understand and touch and feel what it means to be there on behalf of the patient. And my support for that. And I said, Bobby, I'd like to introduce myself. He said, Patrick, can I meet with you? I said, please. And he came to meet with me at my home. And we had this long conversation. And I realized, I watched your show with him. He is what he is, an authentic man with a sense of purpose, conviction, courage. He says what he really believes. Sometimes it may be wrong, sometimes it may be right, but he says what he believes. And I really believed, oh my God, here's somebody who would have the courage to take on the world and ask the questions. And I said, I'm going to support you. And that's what happened. That's how I got to know.
It's good that he's supporting Kennedy. Also, Carson's asking Dr. Soon Xiong about the COVID jabs.
Could, looking back, do you think it was unwise to require the population to get the Pfizer and Moderna vax?
It depends on the time. I think it's unwise to keep on giving this nonsense. I shouldn't say that. I should be careful when I call it nonsense. The idea of creating an antibody vaccine and then creating another antibody vaccine and another antibody vaccine that chases your tail. I don't know what that's doing, those spike proteins.
It's not ridding your body of COVID, though.
It's not. Is it creating even more variants in your body? I don't know. But
is that possible?
I see the idea, and I'm such a scientist, I need to actually go and actually pull out these variants and sequencing them. That's what we do.
Is it theoretically possible?
It's theoretically possible.
Could there be any change to a person's DNA from taking?
Well, that's what this does.
Ooh.
It's what the mRNA vaccines do.
Correct. It converts into DNA and it converts into replicating, and that's what it does. And it replicates an RNA virus. It becomes the
well,
virus.
As someone who's clearly, you've made reference to it a couple of times, interested in evolution, to change the DNA of a species is to change the species over time.
No, I don't think it integrates. My concern is that this virus is all about itself.
Very selfish virus.
Selfish virus. In fact, the fact that it's now less deadly is in the virus's interest. The virus doesn't want to kill you because you are the incubator. Think about that. The virus wants you alive.
Very interesting conversation with Tucker Carlson as these continue to play out over and over again. We've had an amazing interview also play out on Joe Rogan's show. We'll show that another time. But again, we've been talking about this for years. I talked about my own personal dealings with this, with people that we begged them not to do this, and they're gone now at a young age. Many have been affected, and they know it now. And we continue to stay in prayer and hope for many to be able to get the support they need. Greg Abbott, remember he was made fun of as Hot Wheels? Well, he went out there and trolled on this one. He says, got to add this to my resume. The Professor X, the legend. He says, I need the outfit. They see me rolling. Of course, he's got to do that as they continue to make fun of him. But again, all of these things that have been playing out for us to see, we know that those raised by Trump seem to be growing very strong. Those raised by the left, like Kamala, they have a different look about them. They need help. And here's something as a reminder of what happened on Joe Rogan's show, reaching millions and millions of people. They've had enough.
Apparently, Trump's son went up to Biden at the inauguration and said, it's on now.
So when he leans into Biden here, he says, it's on.
There's a moment where he goes up to Biden and Biden looks confused and he doesn't smile. He's like, eh. But he walks up and he goes, it's on now.
He goes up to Melania. She says, try to be nice. See? And he says, okay.
I think they tried to put his dad in jail. He wants to kill that guy. That's what I think. Imagine your dad's getting that close to put in jail for the rest of his life. Like, if he got put in jail for 25 to life, he's dead. He's dead. He dies in jail.
And then he turns back and looks back at Biden.
How crazy is it that the left are the ones who are painting swastikas on cars? The left is upset that we're not continuing an endless war in Ukraine. The left is upset that this guy is uncovering fraud and waste. And so in order to stop that, you must light cars on fire because he's a Nazi. Because he said, my heart goes out to you. Even though there's countless videos of AOC doing that gesture, Tim Walz doing that gesture enthusiastically, many, many people.
Many people. They're all getting caught. You know, President Trump warned if the European Union works with Canada in order to do economic harm to the USA, large-scale tariffs for larger than currently planned, far larger than currently planned, will be placed on them both in order to protect the best friend that each of those two countries has ever had. These tariffs are playing out. And just a reminder for this one in history.
Did you know that before 1913, the government didn't rely on taxing your income? Instead, it was funded by tariffs, fees placed on goods from abroad. This system supported one of the most prosperous eras for everyday Americans and our nation as a whole. Tariffs protected American jobs, industries, and our economy without raiding our paychecks. It's time to rethink what works best for America. And that's tariffs, not taxes.
Daily team putting those together. They do a great job. And just a reminder about this from Bob Lighthizer, the mastermind behind Trump's trade and tariffs.
We have this giant transfer of wealth from the United States overseas, and that is in the form of trade deficits. And the way the system is supposed to work, no one should have large trade deficits for long periods of time. Things can happen. You can do it. You could have trade deficits with one country, surplus with another. But the notion of a country having hundreds of billions of dollars of trade deficits every year is not how it's supposed to work. We now are to the point where our trade deficits, they calculate them at about $700 or $800 billion. If you did it the way you or I would do in a sensible way, you'd probably be at $1 trillion or $1.25 trillion. So that's a transfer of wealth from Americans overseas in return for current consumption. And it has nothing to do with economics. It's entirely the result of industrial policy of other people and our being defenseless. So you ask yourself, what does that mean over a period of time? Why should I worry about that? There's a data point called the international investment position of a country. And that is how much, for us, all Americans own throughout the entire world versus how much everyone else owns here. That number is a negative $23.5 trillion. And if you said, what was it 20 years ago? It was probably a negative $3 trillion. So we have transferred about $20 trillion worth of our national wealth, and I would say the future income of that wealth, overseas in return for current consumption.
Can you explain that measurement one more time? It's what we own here versus what others own here?
So it's how much Americans own overseas.
Okay. It's amazing how this is playing out. You know, we have these conversations coming up this Sunday. Treasury Department laying off large number of employees, 25% tariffs on all car imports. It's amazing how all of this was talked about for so long from Dr. Kirk Elliott. If you miss our interviews, you don't want to. And I'm adding news briefs in there too, things that might happen on Saturday into Sunday morning that you guys are going to want to hear about because you might not hear it on Monday's broadcast. So we're trying to combine those also with his quicker interviews. And boy, does he provide a lot of good guidance. Here's a clip from this coming Sunday, what we're going to hear.
I want inefficient government employees to possibly lose their jobs when it's just taxpayer dollars that are paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel sorry for them. I mean, they have families and they have jobs, right? It just so happens they work for something that possibly doesn't need to exist. So why would, other than, I mean, I can't imagine being an IRS, agent. It was like most hated person on the planet. I mean, imagine every morning you go into work, you're going to tick somebody off, right? It's like, what a horrible job. Right. But here's why wouldn't that be needed? Why would they start to cut 100,000 jobs?
100,000 Treasury Department jobs. And he gets into it. And you can reach out to Dr. Kirk Elliott anytime, folks, if you want to talk to him about precious metals, him and his team. Somebody there will help you out. amweknow.com/golds in the description box below. Lila Rose says Idaho's governor just signed a law requiring students to learn about human development in the womb using resources like Live Action's Baby Olivia video. So you got North Dakota, Tennessee already have similar laws. 19 others are considering this year. Big win for truth and science. Here's that video.
This is Olivia. Though she has yet to greet the outside world, she has already completed an amazing journey. This is the moment that life begins. A new human being has come into existence. At fertilization, her gender, ethnicity, hair color, eye color, and countless traits are already determined. She begins to implant in the uterus about 1 week after fertilization. Her cells organize into what we call an embryo. At 3 weeks and 1 day, just 22 days after fertilization, Olivia's heartbeat can be detected. The buds of her arms and legs appear by 4 weeks. She begins to move between 5 and 6 weeks with both spontaneous and reflexive movements. At 6 weeks from fertilization, her brain activity can be recorded and bone formation begins. She can bring her hands together at 7.5 weeks, and separate fingers and toes emerge. She can also begin to hiccup. At the beginning of the 9th week, Olivia will have grown from a single cell into nearly 1 billion cells, and she is now called a fetus. She will suck her thumb and swallow, grasp an object, touch her face, sigh, and stretch. At 11 weeks, she is playing in the womb, moving her body and exploring her environment. Her taste bud cells have matured by week 12 but are still scattered throughout her mouth. Her mother will first sense Olivia's movements between 14 and 18 weeks, an event called quickening. Beginning at 18 weeks, ultrasounds show speaking movements in her voice box.
It's amazing. This video goes on. And while that's playing, I just want to remind you that I had a video yesterday, I couldn't remember, but the Planned Parenthood executive was laughing about wanting to increase the price of selling aborted baby parts after harvesting their organs, and they were bragging about the Lamborghinis, I guess, that they were going to buy. I said, I want a Lamborghini after talking about this, and so I don't want to play the clip. You can actually see this, and it's in the description box below, but bragging about that. I'll just play it.
It's been years since I've talked about compensation, so let me just figure out what others are getting at. If this is in the ballpark, and that's fine. If it's still low, then we can talk about it. You would. What would you? I want a Lamborghini.
I want a Lamborghini. There it is. And so, again, the going after our children has been something played out by the left for so long. A PBS exec lied to Congress airing drag queen shows to kids 3 to 8 years old. Check this out.
It was actually not on any of our kids' shows. It did not air. It was mistakenly put on our website by our New York City station. It was not intended for national distribution. It was immediately pulled down. It was never broadcast.
She said 3 times. She denied it 3 times.
Think that our witness, Ms. Kerger, lied under oath and said it wasn't featured on PBS. This show was aired on PBS on April 1st, 2021.
The hips on the drag queen go swish, swish, swish. So the shoulders on the drag queen go shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. The mouth on the drag queen goes blah, blah.
That's repulsive. That's not what children ages 3 to 8 should ever be watching. That was aired on April 1st, 2021.
PBS, NPR, let's hope that they get shut down. Their money's dwindled out. And finally, we have common sense back in our nation. If you guys are wondering, can anyone have hope when they go into transgenderism, into these weird behaviors and more? And I tell you, we always want to pray for them. They've got serious issues, and I believe it's a lot of it from their upbringing and more. They've been harmed and hurt in many ways. I put a story about that in my book. And so I wanted to show you this clip just for hope, all right?
This was the day that my husband and I said I do as a gay trans couple. I never imagined our life would become what it is now. I never imagined ever identifying as a woman. In fact, I remember even telling the lady marrying us to make sure you say Mr. and Mr. And to see what God has done now when we radically laid everything at the feet of Jesus and chose to fully surrender it all to the Lord. To see my husband, who he is now, to see how God has transformed our marriage, to see the way that he loves me and our babies, to see how our marriage has transformed, to see that when you actually lay it all at the feet of Jesus, God doesn't take anything away from you. He exchanges it for something so much sweeter, something so much better that bears much fruit, friends, that bears much joy. So this world would tell you that God is taking things away, but let me tell you, God is replenishing. God is restoring, God is renewing and giving you something so much sweeter than this world can offer.
Than the world can offer. That will bring tears to your eyes. That is what we're talking about. Not getting angry at them, praying for them, and realize his intent is his love for all people, and that they would turn to his son, Jesus Christ, and their life will be changed forever, just like this couple that you're looking at here. Just about amazing things that we're seeing. And of course, changing our country is what's been playing out and how we started this show. And you have Elon Musk, the DOGE team, and more telling us why they're doing what they're doing.
And talk to each other. So if the computer systems don't talk to each other, then you can exploit that gap. And fraudsters exploit that gap, take advantage. For example, there were over $300 million of Small Business Administration loans that has been given out to people under the age of 11.
Well, actually, to add to it, it's $300 million under the age of 11 and over $300 million to over the age of 120.
Definitely.
Small business loans, correct?
Yes. The oldest American is 114. So it's safe to say if their age is 115 or above, they're fake. Or they should be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And we should not be giving out loans to babies. So the youngest recipient of a Small Business Administration loan is a 9-month-old, which is a very, very precocious baby we're talking about here. So obviously it was just fraudulent. And they do terrible things. They actually will see that a kid's been born. They will steal that kid's social security number and then take out a loan and leave that kid with a bad credit rating. There was literally a baby. The terrible things are being done, is what we're saying. And we're stopping these terrible things.
And you can stop it? I mean,
we are stopping it.
The reason this is happening is because the two systems are not talking to each other.
Yes.
Right. And so
You don't know at the Small Business Administration that you're giving a loan to a 9-month-old, which happened in one case, because you're not cross-referencing that with the Social Security Administration data that has birth dates. So that very, very simple fix eliminates tremendous fraud. And that there are multiple systems across the government where the systems are not speaking with one another. And if you just solve that simple problem, you would solve a huge amount of fraud.
Are you surprised? So one of the ways that, like one of the key tricks that the fraudsters pull is that they will use the fact that someone is marked as live, and as sort of just that Social Security number is marked as live in Social Security, and then get disability and unemployment insurance for a dead person. Because the databases don't talk to each other, all they got was from Social Security is like, is this person alive? Yes, they're not alive. It's falsely marked. Person is falsely marked as alive in Social Security, but they didn't. But that person, a fraudster can now get unemployment and disability from a dead person. This is happening all the time at scale.
Are you surprised at some of the legal efforts and some of the judges that have weighed in? There's about 8 or 10 now.
And so again, the changes that are happening are going to save our children. That's what it's all about. They're after our children, folks. They use them. They traffic them. They harm them. They exploit them. And they use them for gain. That enemy. Remember Dan Bongino, I told you we were coming. It's too late. A reminder to George Soros, one of the most evil people on the earth, on Drop 416. Soros takes orders from P. You have no idea how sick and evil these people are. Fight, fight, fight. Days of days. Game over. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you again for your continued guidance and direction in our life, your overwhelming love for us, grace and mercy. We don't deserve many of the things that you provide for our families. The protection is absolutely amazing. You've been answering so much prayer. We've been watching revival happen in many lives. Thank you for the lives of those that were once deceived into going into total immorality, are now saved by the Word of God. And now they're living wonderful lives with the blessing of children and moving forward, realizing what a mighty God we serve. We ask for continued protection over our lives, over our loved ones, over those that are on the front lines continuing in this battle to save not only our country, but many, almost everyone on the face of this earth from this pure evil that's lied to us for so long, deceived so many. May the deception continue to fall like scales from the eyes that have covered so many. We know that you've come to save the lost. You sent your only Son, Jesus Christ, in whose name we pray. Amen and amen. Folks, thank you for tuning in. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. And thank you so much for sending photos, for signing up for our cruise, and for grabbing our merch, folks. It's so encouraging. And thank you most of all for your prayers. For now, this is LT saying Semper Fi with them we know. Signing out.
You guys are. Is that like a train hitting each other? I mean, it seems like it's pretty disruptive.
Well, this is a revolution. And I think it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. But at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. America will be solvent. The critical programs that people depend upon will work. And it's going to be a fantastic future.
This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And we're going to continue to let good cops be cops across this country.
And when you talk to soldiers, you talk to Marines, they get it. They get it. They've seen the standards slide under the previous administration. They watched, in many different ways how it eroded, or quotas were being met, or different aspects boxes had to be checked. Not anymore. The only box that gets checked in this Defense Department is lethality and your ability to do your job.